there is a mixing of the two languages here. One of these is Papyrus Amherst 63. They talk about on page 161 that, on page 160 actually, Raymond Bowman from the University of Chicago realized that, and this was in 1944, he realized that the script of Amherst Papyrus 53 was Egyptian. The script was Egyptian. The underlying language is Aramaic. So this is a fascinating mix here. Bowman managed to translate portions of the text, but it did not become the object of serious study until the 1980s. And the interesting thing is, among the writings included in the religious text is a paganized version of Psalm 20, verses 2 through 6. Here then we have a biblical passage in its Aramaic translation written in late Egyptian characters. Isn't that fascinating? Even the Bible has some of this stuff with it. In 1965, during excavations at the southern Judean site of Arad, Tel Arad, a number of ostraka were found. Ostraka are fragments of pottery that was smashed and broken up. They used to write on their clay, of course, because it lasts forever. Most of these documents were written in Hebrew, and they dated from 598 to 587 BC. Now, this is precisely Lehi's day. However, one dating to the 7th century BC was written in Egyptian hieratic. Here, then, was evidence that Egyptian writing was known in an Israelite city. We have direct archaeological evidence for this now. On page 161, they're saying this. More significant, the ostrakhan uncovered at Arad in 1967 dates toward the end of the 7th century BC. It reflects usage from shortly before 600 BC. That's the time of Lehi.
Check this out. Filet mignon, bacon wrapped. That's right, people. Don't ever let it be said the backyard professor doesn't eat like a king. Woo, baby. In fact, I'm just in the process of turning them over now. Oh yeah, we're talking perfect. Ooh. Getting smoke in my eyes. Woo-hoo. There we go. Look at that, huh? Filet mignon, bacon wrapped. Check this out. Look at this salad, huh? Tomato, goat cheese, let's see, onion, yeah, baby, goat cheese, and then this is a French onion dip. We forgot salad dressing. We have potato salad here, and we got fruit salad here, mushrooms. Guess what I'm going to do with those mushrooms? That's right, I'm going to cook those mushrooms. Oh yeah, what do you call that? I'm showing off my stupid ignorance. When you cook mushrooms. Saute. Oh, saute. Yeah, saute. I'm going to saute the mushrooms. And then we got bread. Fresh bread with butter. We're going to throw that bread on that fire right there. Right there. Ooh, we're going to have bacon juice and meat juice to do those onions. And the bread, we're going to toast the bread. And we have water. Crystal clear water. Always use Coleman. Rubbermaid is horrible, so... Anyway, here is our feast. Yeah, baby. And here is the fire. This is the proof. This is the evidence that the backyard professor feeds his body as well as his mind. Yeah.
Text on the ostrakhan is written in a combination of Egyptian, hieratic, and Hebrew characters, but it can be read entirely as Egyptian. That's fascinating what archaeology is uncovering here. This argument that the idea that the Jews would even bother with Egyptian is simply ridiculous. As an ideology, I suppose it is, but the reality, the archaeological, historical, linguistic reality says otherwise. They definitely mixed their texts with a combination of Egyptian hieratic and Hebrew characters. And it can be read in either language, either the Egyptian language or the Hebrew language. Utterly fascinating. On page 162, they note, there was a text of the ostrakhan that was bilingual between Egyptian and Hebrew, the hieratic of Egyptian and Hebrew. Another ostracon, he says, it was discovered in Israel, he says, and Yevon says the scribe who wrote the text knew both Hebrew and Egyptian writing systems and commingled them into a single text. Maybe this is what Nephi meant when he said that the language of his record consists of the learning of the Jews and the language of the Egyptians. The plausibility shows up now. It's not so goofy after all. Additional evidence for the commingling of Hebrew and Egyptian scripts was discovered during the archaeological excavations of Tel Ein Kudaira. This is the biblical Kadesh Barnea, and this is in the Sinai Peninsula during the latter half of the 1970s. Now, this is within my lifetime here, folks. We're talking just yesterday, the 1970s. Several ostraka of the 6th and the 7th centuries BC, this is Lehi's day again, these were uncovered. One ostracon, written mostly in the Egyptian hieratic characters, consists of a column of Egyptian measures and 5 columns of numbers. Along with the Egyptian, the Hebrew word alaphim, for thousands, appears twice, with the hieratic 10 in the numeral 10,000. While the Hebrew symbol for shekel, that's a weight measure, this appears 22 times. Because of the order and the numerals in each column, it may be a scribal practice in writing numerals. This is the scholarly conclusion. A second ostracon contains 3 vertical columns of numbers. The left-hand column has the Hebrew word gara, the smallest unit of the Hebrew measure, after each hieratic numeral. Because the numbers are in order, Rudolf Kohen, the archaeologist who discovered the text, he says, this writing is a scribal exercise. This view is supported by the discovery at the same time of a small ostracon with several Hebrew letters in alphabetic order, evidently a practice text. At both Tel Arad and Kadesh Barnea, there were, in addition to the combination texts, other ostracon written entirely in either Hebrew or in Egyptian hieratic. The implications are clear. Here's the implications. They say this on page 163. Scribes or students, contemporary or nearly contemporary with Lehi, they were being trained in both Hebrew and Egyptian writing systems. The use of Egyptian script by Lehi's descendants now becomes not only plausible, but perfectly reasonable in the light of archaeological discoveries made more than a century after Joseph Smith translated the Book of Mormon. I went and got about 20 of those studies. I have them. I'm not going to refer to them right now. I just wanted you to understand that the linguistic and the inscriptional and the archaeological and the historical and the religious and the political and the cultural, all of these elements are starting to interconnect into a picture of 600 BC that we don't get from just reading the biblical record. Good as that is, it's not the total picture. Now archaeology is filling it in, and what's more is it's filling it in a way that shows that the very first chapter of the Book of Mormon comes out of the starting gates with a huge bang. Now, further materials that I've discovered in the Journal of Book of Mormon Studies, Volume 6, Number 2 from 1997, is... which one? Oh, yeah. Again. Stephen D. Ricks and John A. Twetness. They have shown the Hebrew origin of some of the Book of Mormon place names. Now, Mormon also noted in his account that he said, well, we would have written in Hebrew, but we changed that language also. So we wrote in the Egyptian characters. But there is a base of Hebrew information in the Book of Mormon. 3 such evidences they note is Cumorah, the word and name Cumorah. The Hebrew words are found to be kumi urai, that is, arise or shine. This is related to David Palmer's suggestion that the Cumorah means arise, O light. Very interesting here, isn't it?